What's up, everybody? My name is Nick. I'm joined again by my co-host Matt and a special guest, Birdman, and this is for Better or Worse, episode 9. We messed up last time. I thought about putting up another beautiful poster with an episode mark. That it does take time. Those are custom posters, so that will take time to come up. But Birdman, thanks for joining us today. Excited to have you on. Talk some NBA. Talk some MLB. Let's do it. Are you excited to be here?
Absolutely, man. Once you launched the podcast, I knew it was inevitable that we'd have a conversation to get on here. But yeah, I knew you guys have been doing a great job, and lunatics for doing this at 8 a.m. But I love it. I love it all, and I love the cat in the background too.
Yeah, we're gonna see cats aplenty on this podcast. Always walk around. Guest number 2. So
Guest number 2. That's special.
50-50 shot of being the best guest so far. You got a 50-50 shot.
Unfortunately, the bar was set pretty high. But
thanks, Greg.
Yeah, Jesus, Greg. God damn it. No, but we're excited to have you on. Let's just get right into the NBA. Matt, I know you watched the games last night, and you were pretty excited for the Bucks. What'd you think? I mean,
yeah. I was ecstatic that the Bucks won. I did not think that they were going to pull that game out, and I was watching it mainly because I feel like the refs have swallowed the whistle on Giannis, and I think it's pretty obvious. Not saying that they're giving the Celtics every foul call, which there was a certain stretch where it seemed like they did, but I'm not going to get into that. I don't like blaming refs, but I'm really looking into the Giannis. When he gets fouled, it's almost like the old LeBron effect where it's like, oh, he's too big, it shouldn't matter. But he's getting fouled and they're not calling it. And I understand the dude is absolutely huge. I get that. But you have to give him some foul calls. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the end of that game, the fourth quarter, but to me, I thought it was pretty obvious that they were not getting any calls. Besides that, Drew Holiday really stepped up defensively. One guy who's not going to get a lot of love, I think, is Pat Connaughton. He hit some big threes for them, got some momentum going, was being real chippy with Grant Williams and guys twice his size. I think he was a big mental boost and played very well. Birdman, I know you're a big NBA guy. Did you watch the game, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I caught most of the game. A lot of what you were saying definitely looked apparent. I mean, we knew, as far as like Drew Holiday points wise, I had gotten burned in a couple of the games, whether it's threes or points, because the guy was shooting 20 plus shots and coming up with like 8 makes.
Yeah.
You knew some of that volume was going to turn into, points, and he definitely shot a little bit better. Like you said, the defense was, pretty unreal. But I was definitely, like the Bucks are they're the defending champs, so it's like that scenario. A lot of teams fold. I mean, you see what the Warriors did, like zero effort whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like the Bucks were down. I forget the exact amount. Maybe it was like 14 or 16 or something. And it takes a lot when you're missing Middleton. Like you said, Connaughton was huge. They didn't really get his. I definitely expected more Lopez.
I don't know why they sat him so much. Maybe Portis.
It looked like he, like in some of the game 4, they would get him involved and just let him like muddy the waters inside and just like bang down there, get some boards and points, but like didn't really do much of that. I'm pretty sure Grant Williams had 0 points. I didn't bet him. But it's kind of cool seeing how some of these series like evolve, and you're like, oh well, Grant Williams was a pivotal player, and I think it was like game 3, and then you look at game 5, and like a dude like Connaughton, I guess, gets in his head or whatever it is, and he's just like not really effective. And we knew that Horford wasn't going to put up another 30-point game. I mean, this team goes as far as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum go. So, that to me, I think that the Horford, like a normal game from him or like lower scoring was kind of inevitable. But it's kind of weird because some of these players just turn up on the road or at home. That's also been kind of tough. Is like the like last night, the biggest one of the things that I don't think you actually mentioned was Budenholzer played Bobby Portis a lot of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think he got close to a double-double. You're like, this is out of nowhere. But that's the type of strategy that gets you into these games when you're losing. And it's not like the coach prepared for that because the game before he didn't even play the fourth. So
yeah, it's some good adjustments I think they're making. Like you said, the last fourth quarter seemed like it was all Brooke Lopez. Portis barely even played. He finished with 15 and 14 yesterday, Bobby Portis, and that's going 4 of 14 from the field. He botched an open layup down the stretch, which I thought was a big momentum disaster for them. But he played really well, got that big offensive rebound on the missed free throw from Giannis. Giannis also finally hit 2 threes that were huge. Jaylen Brown hit a 3, I think, to go up like 14 or 12, and Giannis came right back and just pulled up, hit a 3. And from my seat, I was like, oh, no. That was a dumb shot. Drained it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I was like, that was a huge shot. It was like late in the third quarter. Celtics were rolling. If he misses that, I think the Celtics add on a couple more just off the momentum. And I thought that was absolutely huge. And Giannis had 40 points, 11 rebounds. But it's almost like we're getting numb to that. And it's just like we're impressed with Jrue Holiday finally getting over 20 points because he chucks up 25 shots a game, chucks up like 7 threes a game. I know a lot of people have been getting burned with his points. He finished with like 16 at the end of the third and can't finish with like 20 or 21. It's very frustrating. And it's not like he's not shooting, which is whatever. For my gamblers out there listening, if you have a guy whose point prop is pretty low and he takes more shots than his point prop is, it's probably a good bet. He's just not making some shots that day, which has been the case for Jrue Holiday, at least in my opinion. And then going to the Warriors Grizzlies, my conspiracy theory is that the Warriors just wanted to win at home. They just did not care about that game.
Yeah. All right. I believe it.
I told you guys. Grizzlies are a better team without Ja. No, but yeah, they play great defense, and the Warriors just gave up, like in the second quarter. No, really in the first quarter. It was over in the first quarter. I mean, it really was. Like there was just, yeah. I mean,
it was insane.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I mean, one of the things though is like I don't necessarily know if the Grizzlies and if the Warriors are a good or bad matchup for the Grizzlies, but without Ja, when you have that full defensive lineup, they don't like the Warriors don't have a physically imposing. Like it's different if the Grizzlies were without Ja and going up against the Bucks, and you're like, okay, well, you guys can guard on the perimeter all you want, but Giannis is running through any one of your defenders you put at him. The Warriors are obviously a more finesse team. You don't really have that. So if they're not making shots, they're as we know, they're a jump shooting team. So it's just I'm not necessarily surprised that the Grizzlies are holding their own. I mean, I'm surprised that the Warriors, as good as a team they are, almost lost by like 40 points last night, and it was 52 going into the third, and you're like, this is just awful. Like this is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen LeBron or Kevin Durant, really, or KD might have, but I've really seen LeBron lose by 35, 40 that often in the playoffs. I know that the one Suns and Spurs and Heat series, the one finals was like a blowout every other game, and I was like, but usually it doesn't really happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The one thing is I would love to see I was thinking about this last night. Grizzlies and the Bucks play at some point, just so I can bet Jaren Jackson unders because he's fouling out in the first 5 minutes, guaranteed. There's no way he's fouling out in the first 5 minutes versus Giannis, 100%. So I would bet his under is like 4. I would bet under because he's going to be fouling out after his first shot. So he'll make his first shot, go 2 points, and then foul out.
Well, it was really good to see Desmond Bane actually shoot the ball well because a lot of people, I know some people were taking his unders and And I actually thought about it, but I was like, they're at home. These guys are going to be shooting, right? So it's like I know he's been looked banged up, but sometimes you like that's what you actually have to do with, or at least that's how a lot of my somewhat strategy and everything comes with it, which I know we'll talk about, I guess, a little bit, but just like you're trying to buy low on some of these players because the odds become sharper, the lines become sharper. And it's just some of the odds how they change game to game is insane. I actually posted it yesterday. I had a like a 4-leg parlay from game 4. It was like Tatum 8 boards, Smart 8 assists, Horford 3 threes, and Drew 25 points. That was like 90 to 1 for game 4. 3 of the 4 legs hit. Drew, of course, didn't. That same parlay was like 42 to 1 last night. I just was like, I have to play it again because it was close. And Drew ended up with 24. Horford didn't even hit the threes, and Smart didn't assist anything. But you're like, the odds cut in half, one game. I know Robert Williams being out affects some of that, but it's kind of wild how they just tighten so much. You guys, it's like you have to like move on to somebody else and try to get a line that, like Bobby Portis. Last night was I guess the night to bet him if you could. Yeah. Or like Melton wasn't even available on FanDuel, and he goes off he starts the game with like 2 threes and stuff.
He's never available on FanDuel.
Right. Yeah. Well, the one time he is, I bet his assist without Ja, and they're like, oh, okay, Dylan Brooks is going to have like 6 assists. You're like, all right, cool.
Yeah. No,
I mean, go ahead, Matt. Keep cutting me off. No worries.
It's I feel like with the Grizzlies and like the Warriors when Poole was stepping up, it was kind of like a pick your poison, and who the hell is going to score today or do whatever today. They kind of just whoever's on fire, they just like rock.
Jordan Poole was abysmal last night.
Yeah.
Abysmal.
I mean, the whole Warriors team was abysmal. I mean, come on. Like they were awful.
But it's conspiracy theory. They didn't want to win in Memphis. They're like, you know what? We got games to play with.
But and the Warriors do that stuff because they have this like confidence or ego, whatever you want to call it, where they're like, yeah, we're not going to lose this series. I mean, I don't have any money on the Grizzlies, so I'm hoping the Warriors win this series. But I like to see them fight. I would like to see 7-game series regardless. And it would be kind of interesting to see, that Grizzlies crowd was kind of wild last night. It'd be interesting to see if it got to Game 7 somehow.
Yeah.
That'd be.
Do you think any series right now will go 7 games?
I know the Mavericks got smoked last game, but I mean, personally, I know a lot of people, and I had conversations with people about this week that, like, I personally see the Mavericks as a contender. A lot of people don't. I think if you have a superstar like Luka, you have a team that's good defensively, which they are, and you have decent 3-pointers or 3-point percentage from your role players. I think you're automatically decently in that contender. And what they've been, I know they won 2 games against the Suns, and the refs have had a big part in pretty much every game in this entire NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
So like it's crazy that aside from the Celtics Bucks series, the home teams are just destroying. Like the Celtics Bucks, they're kind of like winning, that's like really a series because the away teams are winning.
Yeah.
But every other game, it's been home teams domination. But I think I got to look at it a little bit more tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks won tonight. I never thought the series was going shorter than 6. Yeah. That was just I have a small, I think it's like 10 or $15 bet on the Mavericks to win in 7. Don't think it's going to necessarily happen. It's partially because I have, some Suns money for futures and stuff. But, I mean, obviously the Bucks Celtics game series can go 7. Yeah. As a Sixers fan, I think we're, it's tough. It would have to take Embiid, masterclass type of performance, or the role players have to play good. I can't imagine Maxey puts up 9 points again tonight, but I don't know. I can't. I don't want to be biased and say Sixers in 7. The thing is though is before the playoffs, I'm not a believer in the Heat. I'm just not. I don't think they're that great of a team. I know they're good, decent defensively. They have good shooters, But the same case I'm making for the Mavericks, I just don't think Jimmy is good enough of a superstar to be the only guy that really does anything
Yeah.
for that team. It's working out because Embiid has a broken face, torn ligaments, Harden's more washed than he is a
Yeah.
star, and Maxi's still young, right? So there's like some growing pains with playoff experience, but overall, I mean, I'm just I just don't think the Heat would beat the Celtics or Bucks. So I have $0 on the Heat in any way, shape, or form for the for futures wise. I'm loaded up on all the other three teams, but just not the Heat. So, but at the same time, the Sixers if they're gonna come out flat, and Doc Rivers is still our coach tonight, so there's a good chance that we lose tonight. You know, unfortunately, I don't want to see it happen, but
Yeah.
then again, that environment is nuts. I was lucky enough to go to Game 1 versus Toronto. Saw like Maxi's like explosion,
Oh,
into the
nice.
playoffs. But it's not out of the question. It's just going to take a lot for us to win this game. And then I don't know if even if we win this game, I don't really trust us in Miami. Just the Harden's still going to go to the strip clubs, whatever. So
I just want to say I'm so happy you said all that because on yesterday's episode, I literally said I don't know what it is about my brain, but I do not believe this Heat team can win at all. And they could prove me wrong, but like I think whoever wins that series, if the Heat win that series, the Bucks Celtics get an easy pass to the NBA Finals. That's just what I've been saying. So hearing you say that makes you feel a lot better because Nick was giving me weird eye rolls yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I understand. I understand the no super, like they don't really have a superstar to fall back on other than say Jimmy at times. Giannis and everybody's got a superstar at this point. Luka, I mean Booker, whatever. And they have a lot of really, really, really good role players. Just a lot of them.
Yeah, way too many. Speaking of role players and the Sixers, are you take your bias aside? Are you betting on this game tonight? Are you waiting for lines to come out? Do you think the -2 is justifiable?
I think the -2 is justifiable just because the way we've seen the home away splits for these, not only just these teams, but it seems like I was saying almost every team in the playoffs, aside from that Bucks Celtics series, the home teams and the away and whoever's away just lays eggs or just doesn't do enough to win. I'll definitely be betting it. I haven't done as as many like spreads. For me, as I guess as I've somewhat evolved as a bettor, I look at the game player props like inside out kind of, and I'm like, look at some of these lines, some of the props, and then I kind of formulate an opinion on the game. I don't always have a spread or bet or over under is not as much. I'm not the biggest totals better. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, you look at some of the stats and you're like, what role player is going to hit a couple threes? I'm scared to bet Danny Green at home. I mean, I like absolutely hammered his under PRA last game because
Yeah.
he's coming off 21 points. You're like, all right, he's not going to do this again on the road. I forget what he finished with, maybe like 9-2-1 or something. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it's just some of these players are just abysmal out there. Like Niang goes out there and just is an absolute liability. And it's like, well, they're going to keep playing him. It's like, well, all he's going to do is shoot threes. So it's like, is he going to make a couple? That type of thing. Probably not. But I mean, I went back to Tobias the last game, and he had some, just some not great shots, and his RA wasn't really there. I expected him to get some more rebounds because he tends to, I mean, the thing is the one thing with rebounds is, especially with star players, something I've been like trying to go after is if they lose a game and they're going home, I like to attack their rebounds for like this, I guess the bigger stars because all that is effort. And, these like Booker was a great example. I had his like over rebounds. I think it was game 4, came up with 2. They lost. I was like, well, he knows that they need to win this game 5. It's got to be a big performance. I went with for his rebounds last game. I forget how many he had, like 7 maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just that these star players hunt the ball in big games, especially early on too. I know you guys know Monotone. I think he's been crushing. I think it's like the alt first quarter points for Booker. Like 7.5 with like 1 first quarter rebound. That's it, like every game or something. So, as far as the Sixers go, I don't know exactly where I'm going to go. I'd like to think that Maxey threes is something I'm going to look at. If he's not scoring a lot of points because his point props is decently high most times, I think he'll have some opportunities to shoot. And at the very worst, he'll be chucking them if you're losing. I don't trust Harden or anyone else. At least Maxey can make his shots. That's I guess where I'll start. I just haven't dived into it yet, but it's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah. I see the line is moving a little bit to 2.5. Nick, do you have anything on this game? Do you agree with Birdman? Do you just
I hate this series right now as far as like prop bets and everything. I hate it. So I think we should go right into the Suns Mavs and start talking about that.
Well, I got blessed. I got blessed last game. I took Jimmy Butler under 25.5, and people were like, "Oh, how can you take that?" or whatever. And the blowout, he ended at 23, and the blowout just ensued, and he just never scored again. I was like, okay, there's no reason why he should have went under 25.5. He had like 16 or 15 at halftime or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's like pick your poison. Just pick a play. It's it's like 50-50 if it's just the line. He's either gonna get it or he's not. There you go. Flip a coin. But I'd rather just talk about the Suns Mavs for a second.
Sure.
Suns 3-2. Look really good. Luka talking that shit. Yeah, talking that shit. Talking about it's what do you say? He said it when he's walking out of the tunnel. Easy to talk when you're up or something like that. I don't know if you guys saw that clip either.
Who said it?
No, I don't think so.
Luka.
Yo, I'm Luka 40 plus right now.
Yeah. You guys didn't see that?
No, I saw him and Devin Booker saying some.
This was
definitely wasn't
after the game. It's just a shot of the the hallway. They're walking out from the court, going in. He literally says it twice as they're walking by. He knows the camera's right there. He says nothing until he gets right near the camera. Just doesn't look at the camera. It's easy to talk when you're up. Something like that.
I love that.
I might be off by a word or two, but it's definitely what he said. So as far as motivation, yeah. I mean, Luka can always get 40, whatever, if you really wanted to. But
I'm like totally
against the line.
I'm totally against Devin Booker talking any type of shit just because like you date who is it, Kylie Jenner, and like you look like you just can't fight. I don't know.
He's got a punchable face.
He does. I mean, fantastic basketball player, but Luka.
Punchable face.
Like, look at the Mavericks and look at the Suns. The Mavericks aren't, like a terrible team, but the Suns are definitely deeper and more well-rounded than the Mavericks. And Luka, like, take Luka out, take Devin Booker out. There's no way that like a Luka-less team ends up beating the Pelicans in that first round, but the Suns were able to because they're so deep. And they don't need to rely on Devin Booker every game. Talking trash to Luka doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't. What has he ever done like to piss anybody off besides be good? Like, I don't see him as like a troublemaker. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely would agree with that. I mean, it's just a shame that a lot of these star players with the added ref, I guess effect on the game. It's the refs and the flopping that just like, a lot of players. I mean, I literally the other night, I think it was, it wasn't last night. I guess it was the last Warriors game where like at one point Steph just like got like barely touched and went flying like underneath the basket. I like shut the game off immediately. I was like, you're too good of a player to do this type of stuff. And I get it. It's like how the league is, and it's just it's how the league has just gotten to from.
Yeah,
when it all started, with whoever, either it's Vlade Divac or Varejao, who like were like the biggest floppers for years, and then obviously everyone wants to, pinpoint when it's a star that does it. Oh, like LeBron this or this player this, and you're like, it's just the new climate of the NBA. But it's like in playoff games, you just can't do it. It's so weird because like I don't know, you guys are probably athletes at some point. I was an athlete, and like I was always that type of person where like I don't know, like there's some occasions where you can like try to be an actor, but most cases, you're playing sports where there's no cameras on you and you just look like an
Yeah.
idiot if you fucking flail.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
I agree. And I think because players started to do it and then it worked, it's almost like, well, if you don't do it, you're at such a competitive disadvantage to
Right.
be able to compete. Like look at soccer, right? These people flop. A lot of times they get clipped going full speed, and like people are like, oh, it's flop. It's like you don't really know how fast they're going, and you took their legs out. But they do flop. But it's like if you're gonna get a penalty shot for your team and your whole country, say it's like the World Cup, like that's unreal. And same with basketball, like Marcus Smart starts to do it, and he gets his team riled up, gets some foul calls, gets some offensive foul calls on the other team, and that's what they do. Why? In my mind, like as much as I hate it, why wouldn't you do it if you're going to help your team win? And it's just I hate saying that, but like it's true.
No, it definitely is. It's just like nowadays they either call a charge or they do a no call. Like I can't remember the last time I've seen like a block on like a drive. I mean that happens, but like most of the times they're like so quick to be like offensive foul or we're just not going to call anything, and you're like, okay, well, the whole blocker charge thing is now just like no call or charge, and it's just like you got to call some blocks on some of these players, but it's just like at the same time the one like little point of leniency I give is like I feel like it's extremely difficult to officiate a game that Giannis is in. Just in gen, just like how do you like? I couldn't imagine being a ref and being like, okay, I gotta pick and choose when I have to call fouls for or against Giannis because he's so physically dominating. It's just like kind of insane. Like it makes it so much harder. It's not like it's Steph Curry dribbling around and somebody reaches in, reach and foul. It's like this guy's going 100 miles an hour and players are just trying to do anything to stop him. And he's, like you said, he's probably getting fouled like every single time.
Yeah.
But it's the playoffs. You can't call it every single time, that type of thing. But that's definitely that Celtics series is definitely the most exciting. We don't really have to debate that. I don't think it's very debatable.
Yeah.
But I am very excited for the Suns Mavericks game. I'm hoping the Mavericks, support or come out and support my take that they're actually a contender and win this game, force it 7. Because like realistically, I mean, the way that the Warriors are playing, I don't necessarily know how well they would match up, but I'm curious to see what the Mavericks Warriors series would be. Series prices, how they would match up and stuff. I don't necessarily know right off the top of my head. I have to look at how they matched up throughout the season, but that would definitely be interesting. I just want to see 7-game series, and I think Luka can get it done tonight. I haven't bet it, but home teams have just dominated. So it's like, how do I just take the Suns on a super short spread, which that a lot of people are going to be betting them.
Yeah. So. I'm going to actually look at some Luka stats, but we'll see about that. I know we wanted to mention a little baseball, so we'll get right into that. Really a small slate overall. I had one thing I wanted to bring up, and that was the Reds Pirates. I've been tackling these Reds recently. Their bats are hot. They're a bad team, but they're hot right now. I mean, they're really looking good. The last 8 games, they have scored over 4 runs a game. Last 8 straight. Guess what their team total is today? 3.5, minus 110. So I'm going right back to the minus 110, over 3.5. Brubaker has already pitched against them. He did give up 2 runs. But I mean, again, I love it when a pitcher goes back through the rotation again. He's not a very good pitcher overall. The Reds did make him look good with 9 strikeouts and 2 runs. But yeah, I'm going right back to that. And Stevenson. See, I'm so bad with names; it's ridiculous.
He's
absurd.
He's a young guy. It's his like second year.
Yeah. That's what it was. I'll get used to it. He is 2 for 2 versus Brubaker at plus 160 for over 2 bases. So something to look at. I don't know.
You don't have to sell me much to bet baseball.
Yeah. he sample size is small, but 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And he's hitting 330 for the year. Ideally, you would want a lefty, but I mean, plus 160, I might take a shot. He had 2 doubles yesterday and like 5 RBIs. I mean, do you get into baseball much, or I haven't. Obviously, it's just starting up.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm more like I'll definitely get into it more once NBA is over with. I'm just I'm at like a really busy time right now with everything going on. Finishing up the house buying process, and I got a lot of stuff going on with work. So like for me, I haven't had as much time to put into everything in gambling. I dabble here and there for baseball. Definitely will be getting into it post NBA. But even right now, I'm still getting accustomed to, I do maybe a couple small bets here. I'll tell somebody here, Dinger Tuesday, I got to bet a couple home runs. But I'm like, I got to look up where some of these players, what teams are on now, because they, a lot of movement in the off season for certain players. And it's not as fluid for me as it is football, where football, it's ingrained. Like football is for me, it's just far and above the number one sport for me. Just as far as watching, betting, whatever. And it's just so much easier for me to just like half pay attention and then know where everyone's at. In football, where baseball, it's a whole nother ball game. But yeah, I mean, I'm always down to bet it. You don't have to sell me. The only thing I did see is, I forget who it was, but someone in one of the apps, I think took the Pirates today, and they were just saying, I think it was the Pirates today, where Brew Baker does have like a 5-pitch rotation.
Yeah.
I guess whoever it was thought like, oh, he'll be able to mix it up enough where even though the Reds have seen him, he should be able to do okay. But I still think that the team total comes in, like you said. I like riding the hot hands when it comes to baseball, because like if someone's seeing the ball, you don't have to pull my arm for me to bet plus money on someone who's seeing the ball well. Like you said, Stevenson, 2 doubles like last game. Like you said, Reds are hot. Say no more. I'm in. I'll definitely line shop the hell out of those, and I'll definitely take those.
Yeah, also, it's currently plus 160 on FanDuel. But go ahead, Matt.
They lost 9-2 last game he started. We're not gonna forget this guy's 0-2 with like a 5.6 ERA. This dude sucks. Like, first of all, like
I'm not betting on the Pirates, right? I'm not betting against the Reds. The weirdest thing ever. I'm not gonna bet against. They just scored. I had the over 9 yesterday, and I live bet it at over 14.5 yesterday as well. 25 runs total in that game. I knew it was going to be a slugfest, but like I said, over 4 runs in the last 8 games, and most of them have been, like 7, 8, 9 run. Like it's a lot of runs they're scoring. For a team that's 27. I mean, 3-26 or something ridiculous.
Well, not anymore. They're
I know
7-24.
There you go.
It's looking like the Sixers 2010 record.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, but
I mean, my general thing with baseball is I haven't betted a lot, but when it comes to money lines, it's just like I would just so much rather bet plus money. That's just I mean, that's how I generally feel about most sports. Obviously there's value in taking, favorites that you think have a higher implied probability to win. You see a minus 130, you think it should be minus 160. There's value. But it's just like in baseball, and there's so many games, there's also value in just not putting up more money or betting more money than you're going to win, because there's so many games, and, we see all these underdogs win very frequently in baseball. Same thing with hockey to an extent, which I know, Matt is, much more into. But it's just like, you have a decent pitcher, or sometimes they give way too much respect to some of these good pitchers. We've seen over the years that Garrett Cole was like minus 450 for the Astros, and the Tigers are plus 380, or a baseball team is plus 380. I understand the pitching matchup, but sometimes you take a swing on those.
Yeah, I mean, even the worst teams. Yeah, God damn it. Even the worst teams, get 40, 50, 60 wins sometimes.
They got to come sometime, right?
Yeah. But let's get into Birdman. let's hear about Birdman. Because that's why we're all here for Birdman. Half bird, half man, Jersey boy. This is Matt, take this because I don't even know what this is a Jersey thing.
Is it pork roll or Taylor ham? He'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's 100%.
I don't know where in Jersey you're from, but I'm gonna guess based off this answer.
Well, where are you from first before I answer?
Well, I was gonna say no. You answer first.
Okay, I'm from South Jersey. Born and raised and everything. I did go to college in North Jersey at Montclair State, so I've had this discussion plenty of times. Okay, and there is one definitive answer. It is pork roll. Okay.
Let's go. I knew it. Thank you.
There's a couple reasons why. Okay, first reason, the brand itself is Taylor ham. It's Taylor ham pork roll, right?
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Anybody from – I don't even know what you guys are fucking talking about. I'm not from Jersey. No one – half of them,
Well, you ever had pork roll for breakfast?
Oh, we're shipping some down sandwich? To you. We're shipping some down to you.
Yeah. I'll ship you some Bojangles then.
Yeah, if you've never had pork roll, I mean, obviously you wouldn't get into the debate, but it comes down to it's Taylor ham pork roll, right? Just like Heinz ketchup. You don't say, "Hey, pass me the Heinz." You say, "Pass me the ketchup."
Exactly.
So it comes down to, hey, you can call it Taylor ham if you want, but that's just the brand. There's other brands. That's just the biggest one. So it's clearly just pork roll.
Nick, you would love pork roll. Just giving you a.
You would, Nick, 100%. Pork roll, egg and cheese.
I'm looking it up.
Some salt, pepper, ketchup, hot sauce, maybe.
It's got eggs and.
So a pork roll, egg and cheese is the go-to Jersey breakfast sandwich.
Yeah,
it's superior to sausage in my opinion. Depending on who makes it, I can't. It's hard for me to pick bacon or pork roll. I'll usually be like, I'm good with either.
Yeah.
But it's definitely better than sausage in my opinion for breakfast. I'm just not the biggest sausage guy. I do like it, but if there's a pecking order, that's how I'd.
All right, so South Jersey, which means I'm assuming you said you're a Sixers fan. I'm assuming you're an Eagles fan as well.
Yep.
Did that go into the Birdman name at all? Go Birds.
So no, actually, I did a very short AMA yesterday where someone had asked me. So in high school, they have rec league basketball leagues that in high school you play in, and we always had those T-shirt jerseys that you cut the sleeves off and it said rec league and it wasn't an actual jersey. And people always wrote names on the back, and one of the kids on my team wrote D Wade. And I was like, all right, well, what should I write? Because we were the two best players on the team. And he was like, oh, well, I was rocking a mohawk at the time in high school. I had a family friend who I guess ran a salon. So I'd go in there and she would do a little mohawk, faux hawk thing, whatever, and would style it. And since then, I've never gotten my hair styled. Clearly, I don't really have hair anymore. But I was just rocking a mohawk, and he was like, you should write Birdman. You look like, Birdman from the Heat. And this was when he was still on the Heat. And I was like, okay. So I wrote it on the back of my jersey. And Facebook was obviously totally different back then, but it was still very popular just among high school kids because we were the ones, everyone had a Facebook. And eventually got taken over by the generation that's older than us. But I made it my Facebook name for the last couple weeks of the rec league season. And next thing you know, it just everybody was calling me it, all my friends. My house was referred to as the bird cage, and it was any parties we had or anything. And now it's just a point where a large chunk of my friends call me that. I made my Twitter in 2011, where I just made it that.
2011?
I made my Twitter in 2011 and literally didn't really use it too much. And then maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, I got back into Twitter, maybe had 1,000 followers, was just doing whatever. And then last year around the playoffs, I was like, you know what? I'll just start, posting some of the stuff I'm on. People want to bet it. Sure. If they don't, whatever. But at least I'll just put out what I'm playing. Don't need anything from anyone. I don't need anyone to pay me. Whether they hit or not, it was never about that. It was like, okay, I'm just going to put something out of what I'm on. Hopefully people can make their own plays. take some ideas, take legs, however they wanted to do it, but just a general idea of what I was on, some of my thought processes. And it just took off from there. I had a good stretch last playoffs where I happened to hit a bunch of like long shot parlays within like a week's time, kind of sparked some of the following. And I just maintain just posting what I'm on, whether it's chalkboard or Twitter, just, being as you guys like to say, being a man of the people or bird of the people, just, trying to help out whoever I can with, whatever I'm on. So that's just kind of how it, evolved from there.
And we're wrapping it up here, people, but here's your time to shamelessly plug anything. I know you got a chalkboard just like us.
OnlyFans, whatever you want to do.
Go ahead and plug whatever you want, but
you can go on footfetish.com. You'll see. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really have too much to plug. I mean, the chalkboard is good. I on the side I do help out with Promo Guy. He has his own Discord, which is that guy's just brilliant, and everything is math based for him, and it's just it's really great. It's a great learning experience. But I've been a part of that with him a little bit. But yeah, nothing really to plug. I know for chalkboard, we might be getting some Degenerate Flocks or Birdman T-shirts made, so look out for those. I've been talking to Andrew a little bit about some of those designs, but no, man, I'll plug up for better or for worse.
Let's go.
Everyone who's watching, X out and jump in so you can watch again.
What a guy!
Made me blush. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Matt, thank you for showing up today. And we had fun. I think we learned a lot from you, and we're excited that you were able to make it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys having me. The only other thing I'll say is watch out, when I get into this new house in a couple months, which I thought was going to be at the end of August. And I was like, okay, I'll start this Twitch for football season. I might try to get it going a little bit before that. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's just going to be a good opportunity for me to actually talk about some of the things I'm betting rather than just like, okay, here's a parlay or a straight bet with no reasoning because I haven't had the full on time to write stuff up or, really explain my reasoning. But when I do have that, obviously love to get you guys on, figure out how that all works because I'm definitely a noob or whatever, when it comes to Twitch. But, I appreciate you guys having me. I definitely had a good time, and we're going to cash some bets. I can't wait to go in and bet this Reds team total.
There we
full
go.
Mortgage on it. It's all on Nick. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much, Birdman, for coming on. People, you can find him on Twitter. Is it half bird, half man? Is that it?
Yeah. Yep.
His chalkboard, I think, is pinned in his Twitter. I think I saw it. We're all on chalkboard too. Come through. You can see him on Twitter, Twitch soon, and maybe in the sky every now and then on a nice sunny day.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to jump in your guys' chalkboard too. I haven't hopped in yet.
There you go.
That's disrespectful that you haven't done that yet. I can't believe it.
Dude, I know.
Just end this right now. All right. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, man. You have a good one, Matt. I'll see you eventually. And this has been episode 9. See ya.